Hello everyone and welcome to my Camstudio tutorial. This is a tutorial on how I record with Camstudio. So if you're looking for technical help, this is not the video for you. Anyway, go to camstudio.org to get this program. Just keep scroll down until you get to these links right here. And then get the Camstudio 20.exe file. If you want to, you can try out their beta. It seems to work pretty excuse me, pretty good, but it's a beta, so you never know, you might come across some problems that are unexpected, like the 2.6 beta would work well for me, but it might not work well for you. So just get the 2.0 for the meantime, unless you want to try out the beta. And along with that, get the Camstudio lossless codec, which is right here. Get the .exe file, the Camstudio codec 14.exe file. And if you want some technical help, go to their forum right here, the support forum, which is the link here, as well as the frequently asked questions for it. So let's get to how I set up Camstudio. Okay, if I want to record some game footage, I would go to region, then select fixed region, like what I have right here, and then change the width and height to match the game window of the game that I'm playing. Do not record with Camstudio in full screen. Ever! It will not look good, it'll be very choppy, very laggy. I've never heard of a person that could record in full screen with Camstudio, so always record in a window. It just requires a lot of system resources, and it'll probably make playing games nearly impossible. Anyway, I always make it 2 pixels less than the actual size of the game window. Like, I'm going to demonstrate Cave Story, which is 640 by 480 in windowed form. So I made it 2 pixels less. So I'm going to drag this up to the... something like that will do. And the reason why I do 2 pixels less is because it gives you a little bit of slack so that you don't get like little white borders off to the side, like something like that or something. You get the idea. And that's basically how I record games. And now I'm going to show you the settings that I use to record pretty much everything. Okay, now for Camstudio settings. Go to Options, Video Options, and make sure that that codec that you installed with the executable file is selected here, the Camstudio Lossless Codec 1.4. And I forgot to realign the window there, but yeah, there it is. And the quality slider here doesn't matter in the least. It doesn't use that quality slider for some reason. Anyway, now you want to set your frames per second and milliseconds. Very likely, if you just got Camstudio, the default settings for this, and I keep pretty much everything at the default except for this stuff here, this is what I'm going to show you now, is the playback rate, the capture frames, and the set keyframes values right here. This is your frames per second. I always have it set at 50, and capture frames every 20 milliseconds. Why would I have it set at 50 instead of the standard like 60? Well, that's because these two values right here have to equal 1000. So let's get the calculator here, and let's just do 1000 divided by 60, and you get a really awkward number. And you can just keep going down the line, 59, 58, 50, excuse me, 57, 56, 55, etc., etc., and you won't get that. And I closed the calculator too early there. But if you get to 50... I shouldn't talk like type. Well, click. 1000 divided by 50 frames per second, you'll get 20. So that's your value here. This number is your frames per second, and multiplied by this number, that's your audio, basically. Audio and video, to keep them in sync, they have to equal 1000 when multiplied together. And I just matched this number to this number here. It's basically saying that all the frames that it records is important. Now, go to Configure, and then make sure that this is set at 1. I believe the default is set at 6, but I have it set at 1. I want faster speed because I don't get that much frame rate, but if you want a higher quality and you can get good frame rate, just keep it at 6 or even 9. But I would doubt that most computers can handle recording with this thing, because as you see, even recording in 638 by 478 right now, I'm only getting 19.6 frames per second, which is still pretty good, I guess. It's still smooth enough. If you want to try and squeeze out more frames per second, you want to go to the program options, well, options, program options, and recording thread priority, and then change it to, what, well, shoot, I gotta move this window up here. I'm recording in a smaller area than I kind of expected. There we go, that looks a lot better. Options, program options, recording thread priority, and the further down you go in this list, the higher the priority of this. But that'll also make other programs slow down as well, so I don't recommend that you use anything above normal unless you got a more powerful computer. And in that case, you're going to get a higher frame rate anyway. And that's pretty much how I record with Camstudio. I would just hit the record button and then start recording, depending on the region or fixed region, which I'll show you more in depth a little bit later. Never use full screen. That is going to lag like crazy. And the tools, annotations and video annotations, that stuff is all real time, and you're not going to be able to do that if you're, talking over a microphone, which reminds me, have a microphone plugged in, and the options, record audio from microphone. I forgot to mention in the video options here, what you want to do is aim to keep your file size under 1 gigabyte. Supposedly Camstudio has a 2 gigabyte limit, but I can't seem to record more than 1 gigabyte without it corrupting, so that's also another reason why I changed the frame rate down from the 200 frames per second it's automatically set at down to 50. So that means I'll get a lot less file size compared to the huge file sizes that I would get if I was recording at 200 frames per second, and it's not going to record at 200 frames per second anyway. It'll just increase the file size, which is just absolutely useless to you. And it's also very hard to edit a video that's 200 frames per second, because most video editors only expect the standard 30, 60, or something like that frames per second, somewhere around that area. That's just the general things, and also the keeping it at the fastest on this encoding options thing also reduces the file size, and it speeds it up. That's seriously it. Everything else is set at the default. One more thing I forgot about the audio here. So you go to the options, and then you go to audio options for microphone. If you have any sort of desync in your video and audio, just tick the use MCI recording box. Everything else over here I keep at their default settings. The view tab, this is basically this button right here. I always have it open like this just so I can tell how many seconds I've been recording at and stuff like that. Like, for instance, if I'm recording a YouTube video, I typically don't like to go over 15 minutes, so I'll stop it when it gets to 900 seconds, so I'll just keep it open like that. Otherwise, there really isn't much benefit to keeping it in a more compact view, unless you have, like, very little room on your desktop. Arg! One more thing! Go to options, cursor options, depending on whether I want to show the mouse cursor or not, is what I put in this options here. Like if I want the yellow highlights around the mouse cursor, I'll make sure that this box is ticked. If I want the cursor to show while I'm recording, I'll make sure that this is ticked. If not, I'll just have hide cursor. And strangely, if you click hide cursor, you still have to turn off the highlight cursor. I don't know why, otherwise it'll still show the highlight. It's weird. But anyway, that's how I configure the cursor options. When I do gameplay, I always hide the cursor. When I do tutorials like this, I'll always show and highlight the cursor. Anyway, now it's time to show you how to record. Boop. Alright, now when you're ready to record with Camstudio, all you have to do is just click the record button. I should add that I'm in the fixed region mode right now, so when you're in that mode, you'll see this square up here, just wherever you have the resolution set on the fixed region settings, and wherever you put the square is where you're going to be recording, like so. So I'll just record this for a few seconds and stop it, and when you stop the recording, you then have to name it. Do not remove the .avi extension, but do remove the asterisk, otherwise it won't work, and I'll just name it something like D, and then I'll just save it, and here's your video in the Camstudio player. You can also play it back in the Windows Media Player if you want to. So I'll just record this for a few seconds. You hear that? I'll just turn it up for a little bit. So I'll just record this for a few seconds. There we go. That's your recording. Now if you want to do it in the region, all you have to do is click the record button, and this time draw a box around the area that you want to record. It's just like using the paint tool, and then let go, and then you're recording just like so. When you want to stop, just click the stop button, and just save it like you did before. I'll just save right over the DD. And let go, and then you're recording. And that's basically how I record with Camstudio. That's basically how I record with Camstudio, excuse me. I was kind of getting in the way of myself there with my speaking, but whatever. That's what happens when you talk over your own talking. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you later.